Picture this. You drive to the grocery store, you grab a bunch of spinach, maybe some kale, a bag of arugula, and you drop $15, maybe $20 just on leafy greens. You get home, you unpack your bags, and then you look out the back window. Your yard is absolutely covered in plants, not landscaped plants. Not the ones you planted on purpose, the other ones. The ones you've been pulling out by the root every single weekend and tossing in a trash bag without a second thought. Here's what nobody told you. A lot of those plants you've been yanking out of the ground are more nutritious than anything sitting in your crisper drawer right now. Some of them have been eaten for thousands of years. Indigenous communities across North America relied on them as staple foods. Early settlers foraged them to survive hard winters, and somewhere along the way, we just stopped. We started calling them weeds, started reaching for Roundup, and started handing over our money to the produce section instead. I'm not here to tell you to never buy vegetables again, but I am here to tell you that if you're walking past a yard full of dandelions and purslane and wood sorrel every single day, you're walking past free food. Incredibly nutritious free food. Food that's growing without you doing a single thing. No watering, no fertilizing, no babying, nothing. It just shows up every year without fail. So today we are going through 10 of the most common backyard weeds found across the United States that are absolutely packed with nutrients, many of which taste genuinely good, and all of which are far more useful than you've been treating them. We'll talk about what they look like, where they grow, what's inside them nutritionally, and how you can actually eat them. And yes, we'll also talk about safety, because foraging is not the same as just grabbing any random green thing and throwing it in a pan. Let's get into it. 1. Dandelion, Taraxacum officinale. We start with the most obvious one, because if you've ever had a lawn, you've had dandelions. These things are everywhere. In backyards, front yards, sidewalk cracks, empty lots, soccer fields. You know exactly what they look like. Bright yellow flowers, that unmistakable puffball seed head, those long jagged leaves that grow in a rosette right out of the ground. The name dandelion actually comes from the French dent de lion, which means lion's tooth, a reference to those serrated leaf edges. Here's what most people don't know. Every single part of the dandelion is edible. The leaves, the flowers, the roots, all of it. The leaves are where most of the nutritional action happens. Dandelion greens have more beta-carotene than carrots. They have more calcium than milk by weight. They're loaded with vitamins A, C, and K. They contain potassium, iron, and a good amount of fiber. Ounce for ounce, dandelion greens beat out romaine lettuce in almost every nutritional category. The younger leaves, the ones that haven't fully opened up yet, are the mildest in flavor. They have a slight bitterness to them, similar to radicchio or endive, and that bitterness actually increases as the plant matures and after it flowers. You can eat them raw in salads, saute them with garlic and olive oil the way you would any bitter green, blend them into pesto, or wilt them into pasta. The flowers are edible too and have a slightly sweet, honey-like flavor. People make dandelion fritters, dandelion wine, dandelion tea, and dandelion jelly. The roots can be dried, roasted, and brewed as a coffee substitute that's caffeine-free but has that same dark, slightly bitter flavor profile. For harvesting, you want to pick before the plant flowers for the mildest leaves. Look in areas that haven't been treated with herbicides or pesticides, and avoid roadside dandelions which can absorb heavy metals and exhaust residue. 2. Purslane, Portulaca oleracea. Purslane might be the most underappreciated plant on this entire list. In the United States, most gardeners treat it as a nuisance, a thick, low-growing succulent that invades vegetable beds and seems almost impossible to get rid of. In much of the rest of the world, it's a cultivated salad green. In Mexico, they call it verdolagas and cook it with pork. In Greece and Turkey, it's a common ingredient in salads and stews. In Lebanon, it's in fattoush. Americans just keep pulling it out and composting it. What makes purslane extraordinary from a nutritional standpoint is that it contains more omega-3 fatty acids than any other leafy plant on Earth. That is not an exaggeration. It has about 5 times more omega-3s than spinach. For people who don't eat fish, purslane is one of the very few non-animal sources of alpha-linolenic acid, which is a type of omega-3 that your body uses for heart health, brain function, and reducing inflammation. It's also high in vitamins A, C, and E, magnesium, calcium, potassium, and iron. It's easy to identify. Purslane has thick, smooth, succulent-like leaves that are a rich dark green, almost shiny. The stems are reddish pink, and they sprawl along the ground in a mat-like pattern. The whole plant has a fleshy, slightly watery texture because it stores water in its leaves the way a cactus does. The flavor is mild with a slight lemony tang and a little bit of a slippery texture when raw. Similar to okra in that way. It's excellent raw in salads, pickled with vinegar and salt, sautéed quickly in butter or oil, or added to soups and stews where it thickens slightly as it cooks. If you've ever grown tomatoes or cucumbers in a raised bed and found a thick, sprawling green mat taking over, there's a very good chance that was purslane, and you should have been eating it. 3. Lamb's quarters, Chenopodium album. Lamb's quarters goes by a few names: goosefoot, white goosefoot, pigweed. But whatever you call it, it's one of the most nutritious plants growing wild in North American backyards and gardens. It can get tall, sometimes reaching 4 or 5 feet at maturity, with diamond-shaped to triangular leaves that have a slightly waxy, mealy coating on the underside. Young plants often have a dusty white or silvery powder on the newest leaves, almost like they've been lightly dusted with flour. Nutritionally, lamb's quarters is in the same family as spinach and quinoa, because those are actually close botanical relatives, and it shows. The leaves are extraordinarily rich in vitamins A, C, and K. They have significant amounts of calcium, magnesium, potassium, and iron. They also contain respectable amounts of protein, more than you'd expect from a leafy green. The flavor is mild, earthy, and very similar to spinach. Arguably better than spinach, with a slightly richer, more complex taste. It wilts the same way spinach does when cooked, reducing dramatically in volume, which means you want to start with much more than you think you need. Blanch it quickly in boiling water and sauté it with garlic and lemon. Use it anywhere you'd use cooked spinach: in pasta, in omelets, in stuffed dishes, in soup. The seeds are also edible and have been used historically as a grain, similar to quinoa, ground into flour, or cooked as a porridge. Harvest the young growth at the tops of the plant throughout the growing season for the best flavor and texture. 4. Wood sorrel, Oxalis stricta. Wood sorrel is that low-growing plant with small heart-shaped leaves arranged in groups of 3 that you've probably seen in shaded spots, under trees, along fence lines, in the damp corners of your yard. In the spring, it produces tiny yellow flowers. And later in the season, you'll see little elongated seed pods that look like miniature okra. It looks very similar to clover, but the leaves are heart-shaped rather than rounded. And if you taste a leaf, you'll know instantly it's not clover. The flavor is bright, tart, almost like citrus. Because wood sorrel actually contains oxalic acid, the same compound responsible for the tartness in rhubarb. That characteristic lemony bite makes it an incredible addition to salads as a garnish, or anywhere you'd use lemon zest or a sour herb. It brightens up dishes in a completely unique way. Nutritionally, wood sorrel contains good amounts of vitamin C and has been used historically to prevent scurvy. It also provides vitamin A, some B vitamins, calcium, iron, and potassium. One important note: because wood sorrel contains oxalic acid, it should be eaten in moderation, not as a bulk green. For most healthy people, using it as an accent, a small handful in a salad, a garnish on a savory dish, added to a sauce for brightness, is completely appropriate and perfectly safe. People with kidney issues or who are prone to kidney stones should be more cautious, as oxalic acid can contribute to oxalate buildup. The plant is also incredibly useful when you're foraging away from home and need something to chew on for a burst of flavor and vitamin C. Hikers and outdoor enthusiasts love it for exactly that reason. 5. Chickweed, Stellaria media. Chickweed is a cool season plant, which means it shows up in early spring before almost anything else is growing and again in late fall. It forms dense, low-lying mats of small oval leaves with delicate white star-shaped flowers. The stems have a distinctive single line of fine hairs running along one side. If you look closely with a magnifying glass or even good natural light, that line of hairs is one of the best ways to confirm your identification. It has a very mild, pleasant flavor, slightly sweet, faintly green, often compared to corn silk or very mild lettuce. It's one of the gentlest tasting wild greens there is, which makes it extremely beginner-friendly for people who are new to eating wild plants and don't want to deal with strong bitterness right away. Nutritionally, chickweed is a solid source of vitamins C and A, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and iron. It also contains saponins, which are natural compounds that have mild anti-inflammatory properties and support immune function. Historically, chickweed was used in folk medicine as a poultice for skin irritation and inflammation, and while we're not here to make medical claims, the plant's use across many different cultures does speak to its long history of value beyond just food. Eat it fresh in salads, blend it into green smoothies, or make a simple chickweed pesto with garlic, olive oil, parmesan, and pine nuts. It wilts quickly when heat is applied, so if you do cook it, add it at the very last second. Harvest it when it's young and before it flowers extensively for the best flavor. Because it grows in early spring and late fall, it fills the gap in the gardening year when almost nothing else is available fresh from the garden. 6. Plantain, Plantago major, and Plantago lanceolata. Stop. Not the tropical banana relative. This is broadleaf plantain or narrowleaf plantain, the low-growing rosette plant that you've definitely stepped on before. It grows flat against the ground with thick, deeply ribbed leaves, and it's extraordinarily tough. It can handle foot traffic, compacted soil, drought, partial shade, conditions that would kill most plants. There's a reason it follows human settlement wherever it goes. Some people call it white man's footprint because it spread across North America alongside European colonization, appearing wherever land was disturbed. But its toughness doesn't mean it lacks nutritional value. Plantain leaves are a good source of vitamins C and K, calcium, and a compound called aucubin, which has documented anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. They also contain allantoin, which promotes cell regeneration and wound healing. This is why plantain is one of the most widely used wild plants for treating insect stings and minor skin irritations. You simply chew a leaf and apply the moist pulp to a sting or bite for near immediate relief. Every hiker and gardener should know this trick. As a food, younger, smaller leaves are the most palatable. They have a slightly earthy, mild flavor with a hint of bitterness. Chop them finely and add them to salads. Blanch them as a side green, or add them to soups and stews. Older, larger leaves become fibrous and tough to chew, but can be cooked for longer periods. The seeds are also edible and can be used similarly to psyllium, a common fiber supplement because they're rich in soluble fiber that swells with moisture. 7. Stinging nettle, Urtica dioica. We have to talk about stinging nettle. Yes, the one that stings. Yes, it grows in backyards and along fence lines and in disturbed areas across most of the United States. And yes, it is one of the most nutritious plants you can possibly eat. Once cooked, the sting is completely neutralized. The tiny silica needles on the leaves and stems that inject formic acid into your skin when you brush against them break down the moment they hit heat or are dried thoroughly. Blanch them in boiling water for 60 seconds, and they're completely safe and sting-free. Nutritionally, stinging nettle is exceptional. It's very high in iron, higher than most leafy greens, along with substantial amounts of calcium, magnesium, potassium, and vitamins A, C, and K. It contains more protein than most vegetables. It has a flavor that's often described as deep and earthy, somewhat like a richer, more complex version of spinach with a hint of umami. Nettle soup is a traditional dish across Europe and has been eaten for centuries. Nettle tea is one of the most widely consumed herbal teas in the world, valued for its mineral content. You can blanch and sauté nettles the way you'd treat any hardy green, Add them to pasta dough for an earthy green pasta, blend them into pestos, or make frittatas and egg dishes. For harvesting, always wear gloves, sturdy ones, not thin latex. Use scissors or gardening shears to snip off the top few inches of young growth. Younger plants and the top tender growth of mature plants are the most desirable. Older leaves lower on the plant develop gritty particles called cystoliths that aren't harmful but are unpleasant in texture. 8. Violet, Viola sororia, and related species. Common blue violets are those small, low-growing plants with heart-shaped leaves and distinctive purple or blue-purple flowers that appear in early spring. They grow across lawns, woodland edges, shaded gardens, and along paths throughout most of the eastern half of the United States and into the Midwest. Many people deliberately keep them in their yards because the flowers are beautiful, but most don't realize the leaves and flowers are entirely edible. Violet leaves are extraordinarily high in vitamin C. A single cup of raw violet leaves contains roughly 3 times the recommended daily value of vitamin C, more than oranges by weight. They're also high in vitamin A in the form of beta-carotene. The flowers contain antioxidants, particularly anthocyanins, which are the same class of pigments that make blueberries valuable from a health perspective. The flavor of violet leaves is very mild and pleasant, slightly mucilaginous or silky in texture, which makes them useful as a natural thickener in soups and stews. The flowers taste subtly sweet and floral. Both are traditionally used in salads, as garnishes, candied as dessert decorations, made into violet syrup or jelly, or infused into honey. Violet leaf tea has a long history of use as a soothing drink and was used during World War II in Europe as a vitamin C source when citrus was scarce. This is one of those weeds that once you start seeing it, you realize it's been in your yard the whole time, and you just weren't paying attention to it. In spring, a lawn full of violets in bloom is actually one of the most beautiful things a yard can offer, and it's feeding you at the same time. 9. Red clover, Trifolium pratense. Red clover is the classic lawn clover, the one with rounded 3-part leaves and pink to red globe-shaped flower heads. It's everywhere across the United States, growing in lawns, meadows, fields, roadsides, and gardens. Farmers plant it intentionally as a cover crop because it fixes nitrogen into the soil, but in most residential backyards, it just shows up on its own. Both the leaves and the flowers are edible. The flowers are the real star here. They have a mildly sweet, floral, slightly grassy flavor, and they can be eaten raw, dried for tea, baked into breads and crackers, or used as a garnish. Dried red clover tea has been used as an herbal remedy for decades, and while specific health claims require more research, the plant contains isoflavones, which are naturally occurring compounds that behave similarly to estrogen in the body and have been studied extensively for their potential role in hormone balance and cardiovascular health. Nutritionally, red clover blossoms contain calcium, magnesium, potassium, phosphorus, and vitamins C and B. The leaves are tougher and less commonly eaten raw, but blanched or cooked, they become more palatable. One note, because of the isoflavone content, people who are managing hormone-sensitive conditions should use red clover in moderation and consult their doctor. For the general healthy population, moderate consumption is fine. Bees love red clover, which means keeping it in your yard also supports pollinator populations. An added benefit that has nothing to do with eating it, but is worth mentioning. 10. Garlic mustard, Aliaria petiolata. Garlic mustard is technically an invasive species, introduced from Europe, and now one of the most aggressively spreading plants in North American forests and backyards. It grows in disturbed soil, shaded areas, along fence lines, and the bases of trees, and it spreads rapidly. Here's the silver lining. Eating it is one of the most effective ways to control it, and it is genuinely delicious. The plant has triangular scalloped leaves that smell distinctly of garlic when crushed, hence the name. In the first year of growth, it forms a low rosette, and in the second year, it sends up a tall, flowering stalk with small white flowers. The leaves, stems, flowers, and seeds are all edible. The flavor is complex and layered. A combination of garlic, mustard, and a slight bitterness all at once. Young first-year leaves have the most pleasant flavor. They're excellent chopped into pesto, mixed with olive oil and lemon for a sauce, added to salads, wilted into pasta, or used as a pungent sandwich spread. There's a reason it was valued as a culinary herb in Europe for centuries before it became an ecological problem here. Nutritionally, garlic mustard is high in vitamins A and C, along with calcium and fiber. It also contains glucosinolates, the same beneficial sulfur compounds found in broccoli and other cruciferous vegetables, which have been studied for their role in supporting liver function and reducing oxidative stress. By foraging garlic mustard aggressively throughout spring, before it sets seed, you're doing genuine ecological good for your local woodland ecosystem while feeding yourself for free. That's a combination that's very hard to argue with. You don't have to forage every meal, you don't have to become a full-time wild plant expert, but next time you're pulling weeds, take a second look, because some of what you're throwing away might be exactly what you should be eating. Thanks for watching Garden Crumbs. If you want to see more on wild edibles, seasonal foraging, or how to actually cook these plants in a way that tastes good, subscribe and stick around. There's a lot more to come.